Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the AvPod. Today we've got Robert, the Detroit spotter, joining me again.
Hello, it's good to be here.
Welcome back. And today we're going to be kind of covering something that happens every year, and this is mainly going to be focusing on Detroit, and that's going to be the winter reduction and changes for flights that are coming in and out of Detroit Metro. And then at the end of the segment, we'll also have a new little thing called Rumors with Robert that's going to be kind of fun to talk about some stuff. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so the first reduction we'll talk about is our other SkyTeam carrier that is not hubbed here, and that's going to be Air France. We see them sticking with the A350 throughout the winter and into summer, where they will replace it with the 777 like normal. But what we will see that's kind of different with the 350 is in November and December, they're going to alternate between the 359 and the 35S.
And in the 35S, it's got a newer cabin with more business seats. And the 35S A350s are the ones with the HUV registrations.
And these planes are actually, they were originally slated to go to June, which became defunct. And so Air France, since they were the parent company, they picked up these slots on the assembly line for the 350, which is why they are configured slightly different between the cabin and some other features of the aircraft. So other than the 350 itself changing, what we see is starting October 30th, they reduced to 5 days a week, which they will be flying Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, which means we will see no flights on Wednesday and Saturday. Then starting the second week of December, they increase again to 7 days a week, where they will fly until the second week of January, which will be down to just 3 days a week until March. And during that period, we will see them flying to Detroit on Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, which means they will have no flights on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays.
Now, switching gears to the North Terminal, Lufthansa will be flying 6 days a week, which will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no Saturday. And then come February, they'll be flying 5 days a week. But in October, from the 1st to the 26th, they'll be flying the Airbus A340-600, which is a lot different than the 300 that's being flown daily.
So, interestingly enough, they're upsizing the aircraft during a period of reduced flying, but this isn't actually because they need a bigger plane for passenger demand. What this is I obviously know some people at Lufthansa in the maintenance department, and why they're doing this is they are sending some of the 330s and 340s through mods and heavy checks, which means there's actually a shortage of the aircraft they would normally use. So they're solely upsizing this to the 600 just based off fleet demand, not actual passenger demand. But this is something that's really exciting for Detroit spotters because we haven't seen the 600 in quite some time now. But I'm also pretty excited about this too because I will actually be flying on this in October to go to Germany. So pretty excited to cross that one off the bucket list.
Now, with Turkish, they will actually be increasing their flights starting the last week of October, where they will be daily. And starting in November, they will be sending the 777-300 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then on the other 4 days, it'll be the 787-900.
Yeah, and Turkish, they just started flying to Detroit last year, and they've obviously seen a lot of success this route because they've just been increasing and increasing it now. And we also see that in October, like you said with the 777-300, they are upsizing the aircraft from the 787. So obviously seeing a lot of good things with this route.
Definitely, and it'd be cool if they kept the 777, daily. But then come February, they'll be going down to 5 days a week, which will be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they won't be flying Sunday nor Tuesday. Now, Royal Jordanian will not increase nor decrease, but come October 27th, they will be changing their arrival time from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., and their departure time was 9:40. Now it'll be 8 p.m. And it'll stay the 3 days a week, flying Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday. Icelandair will be they'll be seasonal until the first week of January and return at the end of March. But until January, they'll be flying Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
And I think it's kind of notable to also mention Delta will end its Keflavik flight October 24th, which I believe is around the same time last year, but it looks like we see Icelandair sticking around a little longer this season after their first year in service at Detroit. All right, so back over to the McNamara terminal, we see the WestJet codeshare flights, and we've got Vancouver YVR, which was added this last year, and in October we see that reduced to only 4 days a week before it ends October 27th. As far as Calgary, that is currently 5 days a week and will also end October 26th. Both these flights will resume at the end of April of 25. All right, so finally our hub airline Delta. We've got what's pretty much known as the winter wide-body wind down, and this is where we see all the equipment changes, the seasonal routes disappear, and sometimes reduction in flights. So we're going to try and cover everything as far as the wide bodies with this one. So for starting with Frankfurt, we see a reduction October 26th, and that goes to Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, through November and December. In January, they reduce Frankfurt to 4 days a week, which will be Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And this kind of goes along with Lufthansa's reduction too. As far as Munich and FCO Rome, we see the last flights for those October 25th because those are the two seasonal routes. 132, which is the early Amsterdam flight, will reduce from a 350 to a 330. The Minneapolis 350 that comes in late at night will switch to just a regular non-wide body airplane starting October 26th. Detroit to Honolulu, which is currently Delta 307, has already been reduced, and that is now flying 5 days a week, which we see Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Starting October 26th, we see that go from a 767-300, and that actually gets upsized to an A330-300 for the winter. In November and December, we do see this route become daily again before it goes back to 5 days a week from January to February. So that basically wraps up the winter flying changes for the airlines that are currently flying to Detroit. So now what we're going to do is segue into a new kind of segment called Rumors with Robert. And we are not by any means dispelling or confirming any of these rumors. These are just things that are floating around the internet that we're going to talk about today. And I mean, we kind of saw it last year. Anything is possible. We saw a lot of growth in Detroit.
Yeah, we had Turkish, WestJet, Sun Country,
and Icelandair.
And we never thought Turkish would, start routes here, but, here we are going to 777s and 787s daily.
Yeah, so like I said, we're not confirming or denying these. We're just bringing to the table some of the things we've seen on the internet in many of the different groups.
Now, one of the many rumors that was started was Detroit to Athens on presumably Delta.
Yeah, so on this one, I don't really see this one happening, and this is one of those cases where I don't think there was any actual backing behind this rumor. Like, I haven't seen any data. I don't know if you have. Right, and I think like the biggest thing with this is Delta just last week announced its plans for the summer of 25 flying and seasonal routes. And we did actually see Detroit will be getting a seasonal Dublin flight, which is something we haven't seen before. But I think if they were going to add Detroit to Athens, it would have been announced then in the seasonal stuff. But that is just my opinion.
Now, another one that there may be some credibility to is SAS adding Copenhagen to Detroit.
Yeah, I think the real kind of backing behind this rumor is we recently saw SAS become a SkyTeam member, and they have added some codeshare flying, but we also saw a week or two ago, they announced a handful of new routes, and included in that was Seattle, which is a Delta hub. Now, I don't think just because they are now a code share, they are going to automatically start flying to every Delta hub, but this could be something we see like in the future, them adding even more new routes. But I really don't think for 2025 we will see this.
And I can see how there's a lot of online speculation. If they fly to one Delta hub, they would fly to every Delta hub.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be kind of cool to see another airline joining the Detroit repertoire.
Yes, I would. Now, are there any other rumors you've been hearing about?
So, obviously, because of my position at the company I work for, I do hear a lot of rumors, and some of these I can't even say are rumors. There are currently talks with certain airlines, and obviously I'm not going to say which airlines, but like I said, there are currently talks, and like I said, it's not so much a rumor. These are actual talks, but just because there's airlines talking about coming here, that doesn't mean that it's an automatic thing. There's obviously a lot of logistics and things like that that go into it before certain airlines will make decisions to start coming here. But what I can say is there has been one airline in particular that has been in talks for the last year or so, and I can tell you it won't be 2025 that they come, but possibly in 2026 we might hear something about a new airline coming to Detroit. So that's all I'm basically going to say.
Yeah, and I say you stole the words right out my mouth. I mean, at both companies I've worked for, there's been talks daily about things, but rarely do they ever come to light.
Exactly. So speaking of new routes and rumors like that, and this isn't just pertaining to Detroit, but I think as far as Delta goes, we could see an increase in some of these smaller European routes, either that they currently serve only from like JFK on the 757 or routes that we don't currently see at all. But I think the 321 Neo could be a really big game changer as far as Delta's over the ocean fleet.
Yeah, like United, like they fly the 757 from Chicago to Europe, and from what it sounds like, those flights do really well. And once the day comes where the 757's retired, they're gonna need something to replace it, and the A321neo would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, and they haven't taken delivery of any of these yet, but they do actually have a second cabin layout. And this is going to feature 16 Delta One seats, 12 Premium Select seats, 54 Comfort Plus, and 66 in the main cabin, which differs a lot from just the regular domestic 321 Neo that they currently have. And I think this, with its premium classes, really opens the door for a lot of these routes. And we could see them start to do some stuff like how JetBlue and Aer Lingus do, where they operate their 321 Neos between, like, say, New York and Amsterdam, or New York and Paris and things like that. So I really think the 321 could be a game changer for some of these European routes.
Definitely.
All right, so this next rumor, I'm actually fairly excited about this one. And this isn't Detroit, but this kind of, I'd say more has to do with Willow Run. And that is in regards to the Coletta 727s that were retired. So why don't you tell us what you heard with this one?
So when Coletta retired their 727s earlier this year in 2024, and they were all flown up to Escoda, and none of them have been parted out nor lost their engines except maybe one. There's talks of a carrier buying 3 or 4 of their 727s to fly, and the one carrier that's being floated around is Aeronavis TSM.
Now, I think out of all the rumors we've heard today, this one actually, to me, has the most credibility. Because if you look at what Aeronavis TSM has done in the past, we saw them buy USA Jets DC-9s when they retired them. And what a lot of people don't know is a long time ago, Coletta Charters used to operate a handful of DC-9s as well. And those went up to Oscoda and were stored for they were stored for a while, I think. But we actually saw Aeronueve's TSM purchase those and fly them down to Mexico. Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they might have been bought for parts, but I think one of them is actually...
Actually, I believe all three have been flown. They bought all of the USA Jet MD9 DC9s, and some of the 10 models were used as parts just because of the age, and it's not worth bringing them back.
Yeah, I think, like I said, given the past, I think this one actually might have some credibility. And given how often Aeronueves comes to Willow Run to stop to clear customs on the way to Canada or vice versa, I think this would be really cool for Willow because I think we would definitely be seeing the Coletta Charter 727s that used to always be at Willow again.
And if you've never been up to Escoda, and I'm sure there's photos and videos from up there, there is just rows of 727s that Coletta Charters 2 used to operate, and some former DHL ones. So even if they buy the 4 airworthy ones, they could buy a slew of parts that are already up there.
So that will do it for today's podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. And in the comments below, if you heard any rumors about Detroit or want to add your 2 cents to it, go ahead and comment below and let us know what you think. Thanks for listening.